We're doing videos today that I'm sure other people are going to do too. It's kind of an obvious comparison, and that is between Merit and the new VERSED makeup line. Because Merit and VERSED are both owned by Katherine Power, who is a brilliant businesswoman. She also owns Abilene Wine, which I love very much. She is not, however, the Katherine Power that the AI overview on Google matched, who is some kind of nonprofit revolutionary who deserves credit in her own right, but she does not, in fact, own Merit Beauty or VERSED. I went to Target, I bought one of everything that they had available, and I bought all of the blushes. And for the things that I have a lot of experience with, actually I have experience with pretty much everything from Merit, I just don't have them in hand, all of them. I'm gonna be able to compare one to the next and tell y'all kind of what's worth it and what's not, and like whether VERSED or Merit kind of wins this showdown. It is a drugstore price brand. You'll know that that's not typically my thing, but I got so many requests for this and I was personally really curious too, so let's go ahead and jump in. Whew. Anybody else having a really easy time? Like the easiest time? So much fun. Like every moment of every day. So much fun. All right, so what I don't have on hand for reasons is the minimalist stick from Merit. I'm not saying that the people who have dry skin and say that they like it are lying. It just doesn't work for me. It makes my under eyes look god awful, like wash it off, start over, bad. So here we have the VERSED Skin Solution Multi-Serum Skin Tint SPF 40. Ooh, I wasn't paying attention to that one. Okay, cool. Zinc oxide at 13.1%. So it is a mineral sunscreen. And no, I do actually want to pause for a second and talk about the prices of these, because I think that somewhere in a boardroom there has been a name given to, sorry, the Target website is impossible. Like really? Like that's where you're gonna let me shop? I really wanted to just stare at a grayed out version of the splash image. These prices, I would say, are ColourPop prices, and ColourPop is also in Target. So we're not talking about Wet n Wild, but we're still obviously not talking about Merit. I think that they are tapping into a middle ground consumer base, either people who this quote unquote isn't that much money for, or people for whom this is a little bit aspirational. I guarantee you that that is what the marketing teams are talking about when they're thinking about putting something like this in Target. So as I'm talking about this, talking about it being a drugstore line, I added all of these to cart from a review standpoint, didn't really look at the prices that much because that's how I buy makeup for my channel, unfortunately. But yeah, these are definitely not your normal drugstore prices. I got this in shade 2N. This is actually pretty interesting because I've been complaining a lot lately about how a lot of foundations match my cheeks, but they don't match my neck. And this, you'll see, matches my neck, but it kind of like whites out the rest of my face. But I kind of prefer it because it's easier to work into deeper parts of my face rather than constantly being working against a dark spot on my jaw, if that makes sense. So what are we doing? It didn't snow. What are we doing? It's like as soon as I get on camera, people are just like, what can I scrape with a shovel? What two giant pieces of metal can I rub together? What power tool haven't I wound up in a while? All right, so that is pretty light. I have to say, I got so many compliments every time I wore this. Like sitting across from my nail tech, her sister, who also works right next to her, they're a delight. They're a delight, but she was like, your makeup looks so beautiful. It looks so natural. And I was like, I am proud to tell you that this is actually a drugstore brand at Target, okay? And it is kind of a cheat code in my opinion. I feel like a lot of, and I'm going to make some overarching generalizations here, because a lot of Merit stuff has kind of represented itself as being easy and then not always been as easy as I wanted it to be. And I've just kind of had also like unlucky experiences with it. Like I bought their bronzer stick and the moment I opened it, it just like the whole thing flew out across the room. And I was like, well, that's a bad first impression, you know, but like that's been years ago. Either way, they've really won me over with some of their products since then. But I do find that Merit does try to take a little bit of like a creative spin on things, right? Their delivery systems, the decisions that they make in terms of like what kind of a foundation they're going to make, what kind of a blush they're going to make. But I guess what I was trying to say is that just that like when you put something in the drugstore, a lot of times it is meant to be a little less pretentious. In terms of delivery system, it's like, I want you to recognize what this is, you know, compared to everything else on the shelf. We're gonna make a liquid foundation, we're going to make a liquid concealer, we're going to make like stick blushes, just things that are intuitive when you look at them. You don't need directions on how to use use them properly kind of thing. And I find that to be so much more appealing about the Versed line than the Merit line, just because I feel like it's so unintimidating. And some people might find Merit really approachable. I have not had that feeling where something really like tingles in my hand for a lot of their products. Like the lipsticks, everybody seems really enchanted by them. I think that they're very similar to my beloved NARS Exposed is the shade, Explicit lipsticks. So the formula is a delight. I just didn't like vibe with any of the colors, like they didn't look good on me, and so it just made it hard to be like on the cool girl Merit train, you know? Since I don't have the Minimalist, I will tell you, like, this is obviously the preferred thing. Like, I'm going to keep this around. This foundation is beautiful, and it kind of gets better as you wear it. It's one of those things that, like, it looks like, you know, it looks like a foundation when you put it on, and then it warms to your skin. It's just a really good skin tone. And then I also picked up the concealer in 2N. That's the concealer. I guess on camera it looks a little bit lighter. In person, they look exactly the same. Good news, I guess, that we're not going to like continue going lighter here, but it's also a lovely concealer. So this is just the Skin Solution Serum Concealer with caffeine and kojic acid. And we'll just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I do think that it lends itself to a very similar style of doing your makeup though, which I do find appealing because it's like they made the less is more makeup style and even like the way that you interact with the products, and definitely the resulting look that you get from these, they made it accessible. They made it something that's approachable to everyone. So I feel like they really share a common thread there, and it's almost like, I mean, you're going to notice throughout this, if there's a product that doesn't necessarily entice you in Merit's line, then the Versed line probably has something that you would prefer in it, and vice versa. Like if something in the Versed line isn't quite like, I don't know, innovative enough for you, then Merit's probably going to have that for you. I do just think it's interesting sometimes when like brands do this, it's often not successful. Like when Oma did their Oma by Sharon C and put it in the drugstore, it was an incredible line. The quality of the formulas was off the charts. But I mean, Oma, I think, had to sell, I don't think it's necessarily because of just their drugstore line, but I didn't really hear much about that line. Y'all, if you have any other ones in mind that you can think of that's like, this is a brand that is prestige and then they also have a sister brand that is at the drugstore, and whether or not you feel like they kind of are catering, not necessarily to the same customer, although I do feel like these are for the same customer, but also for the same look, like the same resulting look. This is what it looks like when something matches my neck. I mean, plenty of things I have match my neck, but it does look kind of alarmingly white after seeing all of my freckles and everything on my cheeks because they really obscure my natural skin tone. Like, it's so much pigmentation that like what you see is kind of the melange of it. And so you're seeing kind of like tanner cheeks, but really it's just this color with freckles on top. So this is actually a really accurate skin tone match for me, as light as it is. I would call the concealer like a solid medium coverage. Everything feels pretty hydrating, but it also has its own dry down. I did not powder yesterday and things went beautifully. And I wore it powdered the other day and that also went swimmingly. I used a setting spray. I always do with powder, but it wore beautifully. Now I did hit a snag a little bit because they didn't have my shade in the bronzer in stock. All these things are in the same little tubes, so it's like hard to know until you have it in your hand what you're holding. So yeah, the packages are a little bit different. It was really funny when I went to Target, they just gave these to me. I paid ahead and did like a pickup order, and they just brought it out in like a Target hand basket, just free. And I was like, bag? And they were like, we don't do bags in New Jersey. I was like, I know that grocery stores don't, but like if I order ahead at Nordstrom, they put things in a bag, you know? Like, this isn't a grocery store. It was just so baffling to me. I literally, they were like, you should just pour them in your purse. And I was like, okay, that feels hella wrong, but okay. So anyway, yeah, when I ordered ahead, they were out of my shade in the bronzer. So this is the shade Away. So it's the next deeper one. And the one thing that I really find easy to confirm, regardless of whether this is my color or not, is just that this is a really stiff formula. Like, I just find it to be kind of a little bit stubborn. I mean, it's pretty, but like when you're putting it on, it feels like it's very resistant. It doesn't feel like something you would ever swipe onto your face and then try and blend it out. Or maybe you might dab it and blend it out with your fingers, but it doesn't feel like a safe thing to do. That might just be because I feel like the contrast is a little bit scary for me because the color is a little bit darker than I would normally go, but still, I'm gonna play it safe and not apply it directly to my face here. So this is the shade, like I said, Away. I do think that this has a little bit of an olive thing to it, which is kind of awesome. So it might be worth it to, I don't know, maybe put up with a little bit more stiff of a formula than you would typically go for in a stick bronzer, or maybe this is something that would be appealing to you formula-wise. If you have medium olive undertones, because I feel like this is not going to go orange. Like if anything, it's got like a little bit of green to it and then a little bit of rosiness to it. Look at that, see? It's almost a rusty color. It's really pretty. It just doesn't really give like a, I guess it does kind of give a bronze effect on me. I don't feel like I can be as willy-nilly with it, I guess. That's all. Yeah, that's not bad. So, like I said, I do not particularly like love the bronzer stick from Merit, not just because it shot across the room when I bought it, but because for all of its presence on the skin, like in a tactile way, it doesn't really show up. There's just not enough to it for me. Even the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer, wherever she is, she's kicking around somewhere. I just bought a new one. That is still a pretty sheer product and it's enough for me. I just found that the one from Merit just, I didn't get enough from it, you know? Complexion, Versed won that round. And even though this is not the world's easiest formula to use, like I'm not sure that it's like a super on the go kind of product because you do need like an applicator to use it, I still think that Versed wins this round too. It's very pretty. Okay, I'm going to swatch all of the blushes versus all of the Merit blushes. This is kind of the project of the video because I did buy all the Versed blushes. I don't actually own all of the Merit blushes, but I own a lot of them. I feel certain that Beverly Hills is around here somewhere, but I think we all know that she's peach. So here are the Versed blushes and here are the Merit blushes in my collection. So we have here, I'll remember these at least by heart. So Lusitano, Bespoke, Terracotta, Archival, and Mood. And then, like I said, I do have somewhere Beverly Hills and she is like a really pretty peach. Here we have Brownstone. Let's see if I can do this. Cozy. Nope, I can't do it. Deco. This is bright, bright pink. Pinch is this one right here, and then the like slightly cooler one right there is Bloom. Suffice it to say, we are talking about more drugstore friendly colors here. You know, people kind of think in pinks, but at the same time, wow, that color is incredible. That's Brownstone. It is so good, and I think it's gonna work on so many skin depths. I'm not sure about undertone because I do think that it could go a little bit orange on some people, obviously, not as much as like terracotta, but it is beautiful. It is just beautiful. It's a beautiful sunburn color. So actually what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with Brownstone because I want y'all to see that in its glory. And then maybe I'll put some of the Merit on because, I mean, we're not reviewing Merit here necessarily. I just wanna give y'all, again, the lay of the land of like, you know, which brand should you go to if you were kind of trying to choose between these two, product to product. So Brownstone is this gorgeous like rust color. Wow, 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 wow. And I'm putting it up here in the sunburn spot because like that is where it belongs on me. It's so pretty. Ah! It's really easy to use. I think that the stiffness of the formula lends itself well to going on really easily and thinly, but not picking your makeup back up because it doesn't have a lot of wetness to it. But you can see, that's a substantial amount of pigment. Like the forehead is almost giving Chernobyl a little bit. So I think that what would go with that is probably terracotta from Merit. And this I do think, you know, based on the shape of the delivery system, does look like you're supposed to put it directly on, and you absolutely could. But again, like when you're layering things the way that I do, I don't know, it's not necessarily the way I would go. It would disturb everything. So that's going to bring a little bit more of that like tan in. I do feel like we have slightly harder lines of demarcation in this than I normally would, just because the complexion products are already kind of light for what I'm used to. They match me very well, but they're light. And then I did work with like a bronzer that was too deep for me. So still very, very pretty. I think if I powder, we'll be able to mitigate that a little bit. But Brownstone is pigmented in a way that I think is going to work on a ton of people. Like it has the depth, it has the richness, and it has just that like really uncommon tone to it, especially for the drugstore. So in that round, I don't think either one is bad. So I think that it's kind of a truce. They both win. It's just whether you want something that's really sheer or something that has a little more presence to it. Okay, next we have the High Points Illuminating Stick. This is beautiful. I have a hair stuck to it. I did at one point own the Merit highlighter stick and I like it a lot, but it does have, again, that Merit like translucent dewy thing to it that has like less pigment but more presence on the skin. This I find easier to use because, I mean, just watch, it's kind of ridiculous. It's so freaking pretty. So, you know, just putting it on a sponge here, like it is idiot proof. It's so pretty. Like that's the kind of highlighter I want to wear, is just so subtle. And it also has the same bond with the skin that the blush does. It's really easy to get carried away. I'm not knocking the other highlighter at all. I think it's very innovative. I just think that this one is a little bit more of a crowd pleaser. Like, look at that. Ooh, so pretty. And this stuff really wears all day. You know, for sticks don't dry down because they can't, because it's a stick, you know what I mean? A liquid can dry down, but a stick has to be stable in a stick form. So obviously it's not drying down necessarily, but the formulas are dry enough for a cream product that they really stay all day on me, but they're not powdery. They're not dimethicone-y feeling. When you blend the bronzer out, you can start to feel a little bit of the dimethicone, but it is not like the first thing you notice. It's not like the Rare Beauty bronzer sticks, for example. All right, I'm going to powder just a touch here, and then we're going to get into the wild world of eyeshadow. That's my Kosas powder, and as you can see, it does powder beautifully. I did say we were gonna try and mitigate a little bit of that blend being not that awesome. Okay, loving it. Like, loving it. You can see how someone being really close to me face to face would still say, like, that's a beautiful face of makeup, you know? It just looks so natural. Everything has enough pigment to it that you're putting on so little of it and getting so much payoff out of it, but it's also like not overwhelming, but it's just a really easy thing to put on and not have a lot of makeup on your face when you're done. But it's still so effective. The foundation is light as air, which is very uncommon for something that's zinc oxide based, right? Let's take a look at the ways that these two brands have each chosen to approach eyeshadow. This was the product that turned it around for me for Merit. I was a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about formulas and colors and it not necessarily being exactly what I expected every single time. And then somebody convinced me to try the mono shadows and my life changed forever. These are so gorgeous. Mine are old. They have started to kind of pull away from the sides and dry up. I might need to repurchase some of these, but this is very much an eyeshadow stick that has been put in a pot, which y'all know how big a fan I am of an eyeshadow stick. And so they do wear absolutely all day. And the colors are so pretty. It's really easy to use, especially on a synthetic brush. It just picks up really easily and blends really sheerly. I think that these are a very, very well conceived and well executed product. They are not over designed. They are not different just for different sake. Like, they are a really, really lovely, easy to use product that is also rewarding to wear because it doesn't go anywhere. So this is Studio that I have on here. It is a little bit more of like a mauve, but it does kind of go a little bit peachy on me because my undertones are going to cancel out purple. But here I have Vachetta. Yeah, these, I need to get new ones. This is not good. They've all dried up. Eee! Yeah, I'm not sure which ones I'm gonna be able to use, actually. I wanna try and use one of them, but like this one's not usable. Like, it's completely dried up in the pan. And that's, the thing is, oh my God, 6 months. Well, that explains it. 6 months expiration. I didn't know that. Mid-Century looks like I might be able to use it. Yeah, Mid-Century I can use, and that's actually the color that I want to go for anyway today. Mid-Century is so pretty. It's just this rosy brown. It's like, it looks like melted milk chocolate. It's gorgeous. Okay, so that is the Merit shadow I'm going to use. But the way that Versed has chosen to go about eyeshadow is not my favorite approach, and that is a liquid eyeshadow. Now, the shade, vintage, don't get me wrong, okay? If this looked, when you put it on, the way that it does, I guess when you blend it out, if it looked the way that it does when you put it on, we would be in business. I mean, look at that, it's gorgeous. But liquid shadows are notoriously hard to work with because it's like, as soon as you start blending them, they take on a different color. Like, you lose a lot of the shimmer that's right on the top, and they'll go thin, they'll go translucent, they'll go patchy. So understand that that is what happens with these. Just like most liquid shadows that you use, they go patchy if you try and use them alone. I'm gonna spare you watching me struggle with that, okay? I don't need to prove that to y'all, that a liquid shadow on its own is not something that I find particularly easy to use. What I will do is I will base with this and then we will use this as a topper. It's much prettier that way. I'm gonna leave that on the back of my hand and see how it dries down. Going in with Mid-Century here on a synthetic brush. Yeah, this is an excellent formula for an eyeshadow base. I didn't think things like this would expire like that because they don't have any water in them. I know nothing about these things. Okay, so actually I should tell y'all, I have so many friends at yoga who like are in the business. I have a friend who works at Urban Decay. I have a friend who is a cosmetic chemist and has been for like 25 years. And she and I are trying to kind of devise a way to almost have like a round table to be able to get the information that people would want on different products from like real experts. Like she literally just stopped me outside. She's like, I know so many people. It doesn't have to just be me. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a really great idea. So that's in the works, but it is just really cool to have a person like that I can like text and be like, hey, why Squall ain't do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of cool. And if she doesn't know, she'll ask somebody because you know my ass doesn't know. I'm gonna use a little bit of their highlighter here. I'm just gonna see how that goes. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. So even buying all of this stuff in one order, buying all of the blushes, it cost me $290. Which is, you know, not a lot of money, but you're not gonna go buy all of the blushes probably. It's still for a full face of makeup, and there's more that we're gonna put on. That's pretty stinking good. So as you can see, I mean, that is as easy to use as any eyeshadow stick. The Merit shadow, the Solo shadow. I'm gonna blend the edges just a little bit more because we're going in with that dark brown. We're not gonna have a lot of like opportunities, right? For like wiggle room. It's getting higher contrast. So here we go. All right, it might not have dried all the way down yet. There it is, like when I rub the heck out of it, it's still really, really pretty, but this is really the test. Oh no, it's water-based. You hate to see that. I don't know why these brands keep doing that, making water-based liquid eyeshadows. I wasn't gonna recommend this one anyway, just because I don't think that, especially in the context of all these things being so user-friendly, that this falls in that category. I don't think that it's the same customer, but Pat McGrath and LH Cosmetics last year both came out with liquid eyeshadows that were water-soluble, and I'm utterly confused. Like, I don't want anything water soluble on my eye. Anyway, we're gonna use it, but like, suffice it to say, this is not going to become my new favorite product, okay? So I'm not really sure how I wanna use this. I might just go in with a brush and see what happens, because going straight in on the lid is a little bit scary, but let's find out here. So this is vintage. Ooh, she's still pretty. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, lay it down, let it go. Like, that's easy to use, but like, would it be just as easy, if not easier, to use like a powder eyeshadow with like a lot of spangliness to it? Yeah, absolutely. Normally you fuss with something like this because there is a trade-off of something being a little more difficult to put on. It means that it kind of wears all day. Well, we just learned that unfortunately is not the case. So I don't know. I mean, always, no matter what, someone shows up in my comments and like makes an airtight case for something that I think is completely illogical in the moment. You know what I mean? I'm just like, why would anyone want something water-based on their eyes? And then somebody will come in and be like, well, some people have this one sensitivity and then blah, 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 and we can use this with it and then it won't do that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, all right, I guess I was being like ableist. You know what I mean? It's always something horrible like that. But yeah, I mean, just from where I'm sitting right now, that doesn't seem like the best use of your money. That eyeshadow. Like, it's fine. When I go to do my like eyeliner and mascara and stuff, I'll go in there and fix that with some other stuff. I don't need to bore you with that routine. The only other thing I want to do before I go into mascara and everything is their brow gel. And I have great news, and that is that their brow gel is great. And it's not that surprising because Merit's brow gel is also great. I think that in the beginning, maybe it wasn't as great. I don't really remember, but it showed up as new at Sephora, and apparently it was because it had been reformulated. I bought the reformulation and it's beautiful. This is also beautiful. Like, it almost, if you blindfolded me, I am not sure I'd be able to tell the difference. I don't know if the Merit one maybe has like more fibers to it or something, but like this is a stinking great brow gel. It's just pretty, you know what I mean? It's just pretty. It's easy to work with. It doesn't lay down too much product. I have been into a bold brow lately, which is why I haven't been using the Merit one as much, because I bought it in taupe and I need to buy it like in brown. But I mean, it's so nice. It's so nice, it's so quick, it's so easy. I love the appearance of it. I'm going to fix this eyeshadow look a little bit, you know, seal the edges as it were, put on some eyeliner and mascara, and then we'll come back and talk about 2 lip products. Have a mascara. I'm not a big fan of the Merit one because it says that it's a tubing mascara and it runs on me, which is like not what a tubing mascara is supposed to do. And I didn't buy the one from VERSED because it doesn't boast being a tubing mascara, and I don't have the personal discipline to rinse regular mascara out of my eyes, and so I get eye infections from it. So I'm not one to test mascaras. I've been using the same Thrive mascara since 2018 and I'm never looking back. So okay, this is a personal failing here. I actually haven't tried these lip products yet. Let's hope they're not pH color changing or this video is gonna take a turn. So I bought one of each. I got the Tinted Lip Serum Soft Gloss in Bake, and it's in one of those little clicky uppy guys. This is substantial. This feels nice. It's kind of like, you know, it can't cost that much more to make it like matte and gold on the outside and then like two-tone. You know, it's just the choices here. The choices here did still have the same taste level as Merit to me. Like everything about this does feel still like it's part of the Merit family, you know? It doesn't feel like an afterthought. So we also have here Lounge in their Smoothing Lip Blush. Oh! Oh wow! It's like the same color as Bespoke! Ooh! Okay, no it's not. No, it's not. It's browner, but still it's a weird one. I love a weird one, and it's super low pigment. It's almost like this has the same formula, I mean not the same, but like definitely the same coverage level as the Merit blushes. Okay, that's cool. That is cool, that is neat, I like that. Okay, that has a lot more pigment, it's more of a caramel color. Again, that is the Tinted Lip Serum, and that's in Bake. So that's very similar to Terracotta. Let me swatch Terracotta next to that. Yeah, yep. I mean, very different formulas, but very similar colors. So I'll try one and then I'll try the other. I'm gonna try the lip serum first because it's gonna be easier to take off. It is one of those very loose formulas. Oh, it's so freaking pretty. Doesn't smell like anything. Fantastic. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Look at that. I rarely do a first impression, I have to admit. I just like forgot about the lips. Come on. I thought that was gonna be really pigmented and just take over the look. That is so easy to wear. The only thing about it that I feel like is kind of standing out is that it's warmer than the eye look, and so it doesn't look quite like unified, but I still will wear, ooh, tingle. A little bit tingle, but I will definitely wear this in the future. That is really, really beautiful and so subtle. I love how subtle it is. Oh, what a beautiful color. My goodness, I love that. I love it. It's so plushy and smooth and lovely. I think that it's kind of one of those things where somebody puts out a product and you're like, I don't have any complaints. Like nothing really like sticks out as being like totally innovative or incredibly offensive, and you're just like, this is just an easy thing to use. It's just an easy thing to use and an easy thing to wear. It's a little bit of a choice to put a tingle in there so that it's plumping, but like, I love that. Now we will go with, what did they call this? Lip blush? Okay, yes, Smoothing Lip Blush. Oh, wow. That color, come on, with this look? Yeah. That I would choose the one that's more pigmented just because the formula is so lovely that the amount of pigment is just so natural looking. Like, Violette, eat your heart out. Like, this is better than the Bisou Balm. The Bisou Balm is like meant to be kind of that like feathered at the edges, worn in right when you put it on kind of lip product. This is way better than that. I don't know if it actually has its own tingle or if I'm still having the tingle from the old one. I don't think that this does, but this is what I want to do. I want to just like feather it at the edges because that's just what it wants to do, you know? And it's so sexy. Oh, I love. Oh my God. Yeah. Yep. Ooh, that's really easy to like. I want to use it as a blush too. Maybe I will. I love that they included some cool, not just cool tones, but like interesting browns. But like get real on that formula, regardless of what color you actually bought, but I would like highly recommend Lounge, just out of hand. The ease with which it goes on, and it's so sheer and so pretty. Like, I never, if you're new here, I never put on a pigmented lip and go, yep, all done. You know what I mean? I'm always like, that's nice. And then wipe it off and put on the one that was a little bit sheerer. And like the other one, for having more quote unquote presence on the lips, it definitely was sheerer. This is freaking beautiful. I am keeping that on my lips. Okay, quick and dirty here. The foundation, I love it. I love it. It looks fantastic. The concealer, super easy to work with. Love it. Don't need to powder it, but you can powder it. The bronzer, I think, is a little bit finicky, at least in a swatch. Like, it's a little bit stubborn, but it goes on really beautifully. And I think that the colors are really interesting. I like that there's some olive to that one that I got. The blushes are gorgeous, and they are a different formula than the Merit formula. They have a lot more pigment to them. They're a lot more of like what you think of as a blush stick. The highlighter, bananas. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, so easy to use, so pretty. It feels like, why are there so many over-designed stick highlighters out there when it clearly is apparently so easy to make one that's effortless? So totally gorgeous. It's like it gives the effect of a highlighter, but nobody's like, you're wearing highlighter, which, love it. I think that the Merit one is like that too though. But this one is a little stiffer, and I find it like easier to put less on. The brow, honestly, again, blindfolded, I'm not sure I'd be able to tell the difference between the two formulas. It's excellent. It's almost, again, like a cheat code. Like, go to Target, get that brow gel. It really just feels like the Merit brow gel. It's really, really good. The eyeshadow is where I stop because it's such a clear delineation between, honestly, preference, but also I just think like these are so user-friendly. They're so easy to use. They're so approachable. They're so blendable, but they also wear all day. It's just a very rewarding process all the way through. And a liquid eyeshadow, any liquid eyeshadow, is not my favorite. So I'm not the perfect person to review a liquid eyeshadow. I don't buy a lot of them because I do find them difficult to work with, but also I think that it's disappointing that it's water-based. It didn't have to be. And it might be for sensitive eyes or something like that, but I just think that your eyes are naturally kind of wet. And so if you've got runny eyes or something like that, it's like game over, dude. I do not need to be worried about my eyeshadow on that level. So that one is a pass for me. But the lips, come on. Like, those are so easy to wear. They're so beautiful. The colors are ridiculous. The packaging, I want to say, the packaging on the drugstore product, the Versed products, yeah, like that it feels like drugstore. It does not feel like a sacrifice. I don't usually buy from the drugstore because I find it to be a negative experience when I reach for the packaging each time. As I pick it up, I look at something like, you know, a L'Oreal Infallible blush, and I'm like, I don't, ugh. You know what I mean? Like, it just, the outer packaging, the formula's phenomenal, but like the packaging is just like, I don't want to interact with that every day. And I feel like there is at the very least no sacrifice here in terms of like the feeling of quality on these, but in some cases, like, look at these, look at this, the choices made here, I'm a huge fan. Like, this is just attention to detail where they could get it, and the whole thing, I mean, with the gold and everything, it does feel, again, for the third time, it feels like a cheat code to be able to go and get Versed makeup at the drugstore. So it is so nice to be wowed by something. It is so, do I have mascara right there? I do. It is so nice to just do a review where I can honestly be like, these are really good. Like, that was easy. It looks great. They were inexpensive. The packaging is nice. Like, across the board, pretty much, with the exception of the liquid eyeshadow, I have nothing but really lovely, glowing things to say about this. I highly recommend checking out their makeup line. It's really, really nice. So, it's an easy review for me. That rarely happens where I just get to be effusive about something, but like, you watched it before your very eyes. I had exactly zero trouble putting this on. It is so beginner friendly. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you're new here or you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe while you're here. We'd love to have you. I will put a video up here that I think you'll enjoy if you liked this one. Thank you so much for being here. I love y'all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.